After you've had your initial meeting with your client and you've got all of the details of the project ready and in your head, it's time to start brainstorming. And the best way to do that is to create a series of what are called thumbnail sketches. And so in this movie, I'm going to be talking to you about brainstorming with thumbnail sketches and how you can better do that. So first and foremost, what is a thumbnail? Well, a thumbnail is just basically a low-fidelity rendering of something that you're going to design. It could be a logo, a website, a brochure, a business card, you name it, you can thumbnail it. And it's actually a very quick and easy process, and it helps a lot of people in many different ways. Why are they so important to the design process? Very simply, thumbnails do several different things for you as a designer. Number one, they help you get your ideas into a physical form. If you're anything like me, the minute you start working on something, you've got a million ideas racing through your head, and unless you're a supercomputer, it's really hard to make sense of all that information. So doing thumbnail sketches is a great way to just get that stuff out and down onto a sheet of paper. That's also going to force you to create more ideas. If you have this big sheet of paper and you're just doing little tiny thumbnail sketches, you're going to want to fill that up with as much information as you can so that it looks and feels complete to you. It's also going to help you avoid something that we call tunnel vision. And this is something that happens to me quite a lot when I don't go through the thumbnail process. If I just sit down at a computer and I start to design something, I become emotionally invested in that design. I look at it and I'm thinking, yeah, man, you know what? I've got this. I can just go through. I don't need to thumbnail it, nothing. I'll just go through and do it. And by the time I'm finished with it, I'm not really happy with it, but I can't really throw it away either because I get to that point where I'm just like, I've spent this much time on this and I really don't think, maybe there's just something I could tweak to make it better. But in the long run, you're better off not working on one idea, but working on several when you first start out. It's also going to provide you with something that I call an ideation vault. Chances are, if you work with one type of client, you're going to work with that type of client again. Like let's say a law firm, a real estate agency, whatever the case may be. And you may need to keep some of those ideas that you had over the years in some sort of vault. And this helps you do that, especially if you keep them in physical form. My recommendation is to take all of the thumbnail sketches that you create and keep them as both a physical copy and then also scan them back into your computer and keep those in some way, shape, or form. This is going to help you down the road when you get to one of those times when you inevitably run into what we call the wall, and this is going to help you break through that wall. All right, let's go through some of the basics of what I do when I start to sketch. The first thing that I do is I break out my sketchbook. And if you don't have a sketchbook, that's okay. You don't have to have a sketchbook necessarily, but you can just get a piece of paper. It could be as simple as a printer paper, or it could be a notebook, spiral-bound notebook. Anything will work as long as it's something that you can write on and that is free of distractions. So I like clean white paper, the best for that. I also make sure sometimes that I use a template. And I've created my own template that I use for myself many different times, and I've included that template inside of this course. So here is what the thumbnail template looks like. And so it's just a basic grid of small thumbnails that I use. I use this for all different types of stuff. This could be a business card. This could be a website. This could be a logo. It lends itself most to projects like logos, icons, small pieces of artwork, and things like that. But you could create your own thumbnail sketching templates for many different things. You could have a page layout one. You could have a poster size one. Whatever the project is, you could have your own template for that. Now, I've included this free inside of your exercise files folder, so I want you to go and grab this and make sure that you have a couple of copies of it printed out. Because as we continue to go throughout this course, you're going to need this, especially when we get to the challenge in this chapter. You're going to need this specific thing printed and ready to go so that you can get the ideas cranking in your head about what you're going to do when I give you the project to work on. So here are some tips when you're creating your sketches. Number one, only spend about 1 to 2 minutes on each sketch. Maybe not even that long. 1 minute might be the tops. You just need to quickly sketch out a rough idea. Remember, you need to just create it and move on. Don't spend too much time with it because in the end, details do not matter. This is a low fidelity, basic shape, basic line version of whatever it is that you're trying to create. And you also don't need to be repetitive either. When you get stuck in a repetitious pattern where you're just going through and drawing the same thing, that's when it's time to take a break and start writing things down verbally. So you say, okay, I want this type of element, this type of element. Here's an idea, here's a thought. And that's going to help you kind of spark those little ideas that are going to help you translate those into thumbnail sketches. And finally, I want you to always fill up the page. Don't just stop at 3 to 5 sketches. That page that I showed you a while ago has something like 20 some odd sketches on it. I want you to fill that thing up. I want you to even experiment farther than that. Fill out 2 sheets, 3 sheets, 4 sheets. However many ideas you have floating in that head of yours, I want you to go ahead and sketch out all of those ideas, because only then will you be able to truly, truly commit to one single design, because you'll be able to weed out through all the bad stuff. My mantra when it comes to thumbnails is that they allow your eyes to breathe and your imagination to run free. So, give your eyes a break and let your imagination do what it's meant to do. Create amazing stuff.